Hello and welcome to Futbol Fridays here on KBPK. I am Ryan Osborn joining you live here from Hal Scherbeck Field as we get set for this evening's matchup. Ryan Osborn joined by Joseph Pavlenko and Mark Pavlovich coming up in just a couple of moments. Mark, an exciting and we're hoping a very close matchup in the Orange Empire Conference between two of, we'll say, the best defensive teams in the OEC.
Well, yeah, Ryan, I actually think this is going to be a very close game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of goals, and I say it for this reason. I'm going to look at Harrison in the goal for Saddleback, and I'm going to look at Moreno Rojas in the goal for Fullerton. When you look at these two young men, they are top in the OEC. Goal against, both of them at 1.33. When you look at Harrison, he only has given up 4 goals. You look at Moreno Rojas, he's only given up 6. This is going to be a defensive battle, and you know, as soon as I say that, that means it'll be a 6-5 victory for somebody on the pitch today at Fullerton College. I've seen both these teams play. I talked the game before the game, and I think there's going to be a very physical soccer game tonight here on KBPK.
So Joseph Pavlenko joining us over to our left. You just heard from Mark Pavlovich. Once again, I am Ryan Osborn joining you on KBPK as we get set for this afternoon and tonight's matchup. It's Fullerton College and Saddleback getting set to, we'll say, go to war here in the Orange Empire Conference. Joe, you take a look at what Fullerton has done recently. You were here last week as the Fullerton College Hornets, well, they had an opportunity to get a win, but just weren't able to pull it off.
It's a very nice way of saying that.
Fullerton College in that matchup last week against Irvine Valley College ended up going up to a 3-0 lead and then ended up with a draw against IVC. Ball goes into the left-hand side. We'll get to the starting lineups in just a couple of moments. Fullerton College in the all-navy blue going from right to left, and Saddleback in the all-white going from left to right. Coach Greg Aviles watching on as his team has an opportunity to get themselves to a 3-0-1 record in conference play. Ball to the right-hand side where it will go to the awaiting foot of Nathan Aquino. Aquino tries to chase it down, earns a corner, and quickly we have our first opportunity of the game for Saddleback to get themselves into it.
And Ryan, when you look at Aquino, a defenseman that is up that high for this Saddleback team, they are a very aggressive team. You will watch them with defensemen coming across the midfield on their attack.
Ball over towards the middle. It ends up getting poked away towards the top of the semicircle. Finally cleared out, and it will find the awaiting head of Aquino. Aquino trying to find someone, looking for Brian Carlo. Carlo down to the right, gets taken away by Sevillano, and finally it will be cleared up to Sherman. So Fullerton College with a different lineup than what we're used to, at least a different formation as well. Misael Gonzalez not starting all the way up top like we have seen in the past. As we get to the starting lineups, we start things off with Saddleback, who is currently on the attack, and with Aquino on the right-hand side. Aquino gets slid away by by Evan Yoel, and Yoel is able to get that away. Will it be a corner kick coming up or a goal kick? And they say it's a goal kick. Starting lineup for Saddleback is Dominic DeFrena in goal, joined by Nathan Aquino, with Pedro Castillo and Brian Carlo to join them as well. Alex Avila with Spencer Simis and Jean Cortez. Final 4 in the lineup, Ryan Mann, Ian Forelli, Alex Martinez, and Juan Ponce.
Ryan, what we just saw is how Fullerton College has been getting themselves in trouble the last couple Fridays that we've been here. You want to stop the attack, the opposing team, in this case it's Saddlebacks, making a run into your half of the field. You have to do something. It's kind of like we've talked about before. Basketball, you take that technical foul or personal foul, or sometimes it's a flagrant foul to stop the attack. You hope they don't make the shot. Fullerton's taken that risk a couple times and paid for it by being scored on. And let's hope that that's a streak that doesn't continue tonight.
You mentioned that Fullerton this last week on Tuesday specifically, they played Santa Ana. They got a 2-1 win, but it kind of goes back to what you were talking about. When you look at Fullerton so far this season, against Santa Ana, they had an opportunity to get a lead early, weren't able to capitalize, and were actually trailing at the half. Fullerton got 2 late goals in the 77th and the 87th to be able to get a win at Santa Ana. But it just looks like Fullerton at times can be offensively explosive, and then at times they seem to be back on their heels like you're talking about.
Well, guys, I'm going to tell you the thing you're going to watch in this game is watch the physicality. I'm going to bring that up 3 or 4 times in this game. You will watch a lot of hand play in this game tonight. We'll see how the referees allow it to get played.
Ball over towards the right-hand side on the throw-in, gets tipped away, and Fullerton College has it initially. It will end up on the awaiting foot of Garrett Eicherman, and he can clear out with Aldo. Starting lineup for Fullerton, Mario Floriano in goal, joined by Evan Yoel and Aldo Ramirez. Angel Sevillano, in addition to Misael Gonzalez, who's starting more towards midfield than up at forward. Hayden Kenny, who has the most game-winning goals on this team this season, will be up top as well with Ruben Rivera, Nathan Giles, Thomas Gomez, who had a goal in the last one, and Garrett Eicherman, who we just called out a few moments ago.
And Ryan, just with that play, just to interrupt you for a second, you watched Ryan Mann drag a guy down. So watch this in this game. If yellow cards become abound, that may work to somebody's behalf in the soccer game.
It could. It was seeing Aldo Ramirez send that ball, make an attempt to send it to the middle of the field, try to find an open hornet somewhere over there. And, yeah, it very quickly found the feet of not 1, not 2, but 3 of the Saddleback players. And then the play got very physical as Fullerton College tried to get control of the ball back.
Ball in the left-hand corner. Both teams kind of trying to find a little bit of positioning. Finally gets floated out towards the far side. We'll find Aldo. Aldo, left-hand side, opportunity there. Turnaround shot by Sherman, and it ends up being parried away.
I've said this once already this week, Brian. That's a Gordon Bombay pick up the trash moment.
It really is, because you look at it and it's a broken play. Fullerton's still able to make the most out of it as Misael is going to go into the corner, look for someone down the middle, can't find Aldo. Aldo on the chase. We'll end up seeing this go right back to midfield, where it will be cleared into the Hornet bench.
And once again, you will watch Saddleback do this numerous times. The basic fundamental of soccer, when I'm in trouble, Ryan Osborn, you take the ball up and out if you can. That's what they did after that shot on goal, and that's what they did again defensively. There's another one up the sideline close to being out.
Floated over, taken across midfield, where it will be a foul going against Garrett Eicherman. And Eicherman will watch on as Saddleback will take advantage. This is Ryan Mann. Mann looking right down the middle. He'll find someone. Right foot of Alex Martinez. Martinez left-hand side. Tries to find Aquino. Aquino on the chase. He's got Brian Carlo as well. Aquino watching on as Sevillano is able to tip this one away to Misa. Misa looking for Sherman. Deflected towards Sevillano. Sevillano can push the pace. Decides he doesn't want to. Hayden Kenny gets fouled right at the Buzzy logo. And we will have a set piece coming up for Fullerton. More of a free kick than a set piece, actually.
And you watch again with the foul by Alex Martinez. Down there, goes down low, takes out his feet, doesn't play the ball. And that's why we get the stoppage with the free kick. Just a little knock is what we see down there right then.
And that last play, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong saying this, the Bobcat Saddleback, seeming like they're coming at this game with almost a more classical approach to soccer. You're taking it down the wings, trying to feed it to the center and create scoring opportunities that way.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you, Joe, especially the way that you're seeing Saddleback, like you mentioned, go towards the wings, try and push the ball up. One thing that's interesting and is going to be interesting in this matchup is the fact that these two teams have a lot of speed to work with. You talk about the wings for Saddleback, that's where they create their offense. For Fullerton, it's actually more down the middle. With Misael Gonzalez and Hayden Kenny, both of those guys can drive to the middle and then bring it out to the flats and to the wings and create their offense. With Saddleback, it's like you're talking about a different style, same type of speed for both of these two teams. Hayden Kenny on the draw pass looking for Misa. Misa gets double teamed and gets it taken away. Nice job there by Pedro Castillo to get the possession as he'll float it down the right side, looking for Carlo. Carlo with possession, he'll find it. Sevillano is there, Yoel will tip that off of Carlo, and it's going to go for a goal kick.
And
Textbook defense there from Yoel.
I'm going to disagree with both of you because B.J. McNichol will say the way you set up soccer is you take your wings down. That is playing down the middle because you go down the wings, your speed people come down the middle, and they're a middle team. They're not an outside team for Saddleback. They look for the runners in the middle of the field. They set it up on the outside.
Isn't that what I said?
No, you said they were an outside team. They're not an outside team. They're a middle team.
Down the middle, the throw-in goes.
You've made the list.
Oh, man.
Yes,
Maddie, you're listening to all of this. Remember, write down all the threats I get on the air today just because I've been the voice for Cyprus soccer this season. No, guys, that's what BJ talks about, Joe. They go down on the outside, but they're actually playing the middle of the field for.
Yeah, you go down the wings. It's part of the way of your instead of lengthening the field you're widening the field, I guess you can say. You've got the wings. You're trying to pull people out of position, feed the ball to the center, which is also why we're seeing a lot of floaters go in the air. Because like Ryan said, it's kind of a foot race. Both teams have speed. Both teams have some get-to-itiveness, to use a Corey Nalen trademarked phrase. And so I think we're going to see a foot race that might turn into an endurance race. Whoever runs out of gas in the tank first might be the team that loses this, or whoever plays smarter might come out on top today.
And I actually think it also goes back to another trademark Corey Nalen term, decisivity. Can either of these two teams decide exactly where they want the ball to go for the point of attack? As this ball goes all the way back to Floriano, and he will take over. And the reason why I say that, guys, is because you look at the last two matches that we've seen here on Futbol Fridays. Fullerton decisive, where the offense is going to come from, what style they're going to play in the second half against Cuyamaca. They end up with a 5-1 win. But you look at that second half against IVC, and what you saw a lot of times from the back midfield and a shade from the back line is a little bit of indecisiveness on what they were looking at in a point of attack from IVC, and it cost them at the end.
Can I ask both of you something? No, you've been at her for more games. Is Fullerton a physical soccer team?
I think they can be. I think in the past we've seen them. I think at the Cuyamaca game, we definitely saw some of that chippiness come out near the end of the game and some of the final minutes. I think they're trying to be a little cleaner this season, it appears. Maybe keep some of the bookings to a minimum. I haven't looked at stat sheets and how many cards have been given or picked up by players across the season.
This one's going to go left-hand side. Saddleback trying to keep it. Here's Carlo. Finally, Yoel says that's enough of that, and he will send it all the way into the crowd. But actually, to go to both of your credit, exactly what we've been talking about are those yellow cards for Fullerton College. So far this season, they are actually, if I'm not mistaken, they are tied for third in the entire state in yellow cards to this point. And it has been, we won't say an issue, because one thing that we have heard from Coach Aviles is that it's not a problem to work with yellow cards. It's fine because it shows that you have that extra physicality. This ball is on the inside. Fullerton trying to clear. Sevillano overruns it. He gets taken down from behind, and a whistle is there. But you look at Fullerton so far to this season, third in the CCCAA in yellow cards with 29. Right next to them is IVC as well. Guys, at what point does it's fine with playing with a yellow card turn into it's starting to become a little bit of a detriment?
When you make mistakes, like in the final minutes of the game, not paying attention where you're sending the ball, and that results in I think that was a double booking that game, wasn't it, Ryan?
It was indeed.
And that ended in very few minutes of play after a sub, and unfortunately letting Fullerton play a man down. I think that's where it affects you. There's nothing wrong with being physical in the game of soccer, but what you don't want to see is taking a bad foul and then making a silly decision, silly choice later in the game. You've already been booked. Now you've been booked twice. You're out of the game, and you're out the next game, right?
Yeah, you go back to that decision as this ball goes towards the left-hand side to Kenny. And the one that we're referring to is Hayden Kenny has an excellent first half. Plain and simple, had a great first half against IVC. And then all of a sudden, you see him get booked because he had that physicality. but he had to go in due to an injury substitution, as this is possessed nicely there by Brian Carlo. Carlo tries to go out to the inside of the box, looking for a teammate in Castillo, and it's taken over by Floriano. But he comes in for an injury substitution, and less than 15 seconds later gets booked again for time wasting because Fullerton had possession, and they actually were going to end up seeing IVC take a free kick. He kicks it into the corner, which is past the goal line, and immediately gets booked 15 seconds after rejoining the pitch, and Fullerton had to play with 10 the rest of the way, and it cost them because, plain and simple, Joe, Mark, we saw it. Fullerton playing with 10, it's tough enough to play with 11 and keep the other team from tying it up, but they played with 10, and they just weren't able to get to that final guy before that goal goes in stoppage time.
Well, and like, in the defense of Hayden Kenny, not that he needs one, but you play your minutes, you've been subbed out, you kind of take the game time mentality out a little bit. He got subbed for an injury. I might not have been planning on coming back in the game, right? He comes back in, doesn't have his head back into it's go time mode, and just makes a silly choice. But because of that prior booking, it was a silly choice that had some unfortunate consequences.
Yeah, and one of the things for Hayden Kenny, we're talking about that decision. It does end up leading to a booking, doesn't join them for Santa Ana, but he's back in this one. This is what I love about Coach Greg Aviles and his coaching staff, is the fact that, yes, he had that decision, but you look at his resume so far this season. Hayden Kenny has been one of the best offensive players for Fullerton College to this point. He's got 3 goals, 3 assists, 9 points, but all 3 of those goals are game winners. He's that extra guy that you can look at and say, does exactly what you and Mark are talking about, and helps stretch out the back line. It helps space things out because people don't have to just worry about Misa the entire time. You've got someone like Hayden Kenny who can go out and give you that offense.
Yeah, and what we just saw, Fullerton College's defense looks like they're back to their back line being how we've seen them in prior weeks. Comfortable, playing with the ball, waiting for opportunities, sending it upfield. But the Bobcats definitely seem to be pushing that back line more than some of the other teams we've seen this season.
Well, watch Saddleback. They will open up. Now, if you watch their defense, when Fullerton is on the attack, you will watch their 4 defensemen play in an amoeba setup that they go up there. They will allow the middle to get open up. They will watch the wings. Then a defenseman will step up what they do. So you can watch them group and actually use the entire field in grouping people up.
Ball to the middle. Saddleback. Bobcats trying to get back on the offensive side of things with Aquino. Aquino, ball on the right, looking for Ponce. Doesn't connect. Dumped out past the touchline. And it looks like it's going to be a Saddleback throw-in on the near side.
Great play from...
Actually, excuse me, that's going to be a free kick coming up.
Yeah, it happened right about midfield, Ryan, where the player was taken down from behind, but play continued. The referee brought it back. A little late on the whistle with the referee.
At that point, Saddleback would have gone in with the throw. Why not give him the throw?
As this one goes over towards Eicherman. Eicherman says, I have seen enough of that ball. He'll clear it out, and it will go right to Misa. Misa on the right side, double teamed, is able to get away from traffic. Misa with a nice dribble on the back touch. Now Misa left-footed, swings it over towards the right side, and it just ends up past the awaiting head there of Thomas Gomez. And once again, Gomez had the chance against Santa Ana to get his first collegiate goal this season. He scores, and it ends up being a game winner.
Well, what you see, too, there, guys, is Simmons Cortez comes over to Misa immediately. I hear Joe over there.
He led him just a little too much on that. If he would have been dialed back, maybe led him a little bit less, I think we would have seen Fullerton College find the back of the net.
No, I don't think it would have happened. I'm going to keep disagreeing with Joe all night long when we watch this game. I'm going to be the Saddleback guy. Joe's the Fullerton guy. That's why we call it fair broadcasting here on KBPK.
Corey Nalen, the producer/deducer over here, giving us some notes to the broadcast. Thank you, Corey.
Well, if it has anything to do with soccer and he's giving you advice, we know it's wrong. So 26, 51. We're counting down, guys. No real, guys, I got to say to both of you, no real threats offensively by either team yet.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Certainly the other teams are feeling each other out. Bobcat, Saddleback, I think they've knocked on the door of Fullerton a couple times, but Fullerton has been there and answered and told them, nah, we're good.
Here's Hayden Kenny. Kenny, triple team there. Nice takeaway. It goes over to Alex Martinez. Martinez looking for Carlo. Now he's got it. Switch over to Ponce. Ponce has someone on the left-hand side. That's Carlo once more, and he ends up on the misplay. It will end up going past the goal line, and it will be a goal kick coming up.
Ryan, when you watch the attack by Saddleback, it's usually 3 people down the field. When you watch the counterattack by Fullerton, it's usually 4 people down the field. So you'll see Saddleback not using their defensemen on a great deal of the offensive side now coming in this game. They're staying 4 back deep on defense when you watch them go back. 3 in the midfield. So they're paying a 4-3-3 when you look at them out there on the field.
Substitution in for Saddleback. Out goes Ian Forelli, and Dominic Ochoa is going to take his place. Far side touchline, that goes out, and Saddleback will retrieve.
Ryan, is that what Fullerton's playing too? Because Saddleback's looking like they're playing a 4-3-3.
As of right now, it looks like Fullerton's going 3 up top, in addition to
No, it looks like they've got, looks to me like 2 up top. You've got Misael Gonzalez and you've got Hayden Kenny.
It's 2 up top at the moment because they're not attacking, but now you see them take their position. You go 3 up top, 2, actually we'll go 3-3-4 is what they're running.
Okay.
Right side, Misa now from Kenny, but that's right behind him. Little drop pass there didn't work as Spencer Simmis is going to take over. Simmis looking for someone. It ends up bouncing back on a deflection all the way back to the goalkeeper, Dominic DeFrena. DeFrena, little push there to Kenny. Kenny says, hey, wait a minute. As it will be rolled to the left-hand side, and Saddleback can work once more.
Saddleback really likes to choke up that back line. I think I counted 5, 6 players on the back line as Fullerton College was trying to come in on that attack.
And it's one of the things that you can do to make sure that you counter that speed of Fullerton. If you're able to kind of muddy up the water in terms of how many people are there for a reception, it changes your point of attack. Here's a chance for Misa. Misa
open
drops
goal
it down to himself, and he ends up deflecting it over past the defender. It will go past the goal line. A corner kick coming up, and like you were talking about, if he gets that to his right foot, the frame is there.
Yeah, Alex Avila comes over back quickly for Saddleback as the goalie comes out to try and make a play on it. Avila controls it to keep it away. And guys, when you look at it, when you talk about that 4-3-3, Joe, the midfielders drop back very quickly when you talk about them being about 5 back. But they've got their 4 defensemen, their 3 midfielders. You will see a midfielder defending which way the power is going offensively will drop back and maybe become that 5th defender.
Yeah, that was great defending from Saddleback right there and an unlucky break for Misael Gonzalez. That's all it really comes down to. Great defending and a bad streak of luck.
Here's Misa. Misa in swing. Chance there. Goes over towards the back post, but ends up deflecting away. It will be a throw-in coming up for Saddleback, or excuse me, for Fullerton College.
And, guys, what I think is very interesting, you look at Fullerton as they move up on there, and Eicherman, he comes up really high, but you actually have a spy out there watching the lone offensive player.
A spy?
A spy. I mean, look at midfield, Joe. You have somebody that's trailing the only person out on top for Saddleback.
Yeah, I didn't notice that, Mark. That is one that seems different than the Fullerton we've seen in the past with only 2 players left on the back line. And seeing 1 person at the midline from Saddleback, that means all 10 players are essentially on the back line playing defense.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, isn't it, Joe? Because, I mean, if you could get a kick out, then it's going to be 1-on-2, and it could be a foot race going back deep here for them. And you look at Carlo for Saddleback. He looks like he's the burner, Ryan, out there offensively for this Saddleback team.
Little high floater, right side, a chance for Misa. He's offside. Ball goes in the frame, but it will not end up mattering. As you see the flag there, end up getting pulled up. As offside are the Hornets, and it will be kicked away by Saddleback. And you guys are talking about that. We've seen different styles from different teams trying to figure out a way to solve Misael Gonzalez. And right now, Misa sitting with 12 goals and 4 assists. Plain and simple, leading the Orange Empire Conference in offense and points to this point in the season. And he has continued to be that, we'll call him catalyst for Fullerton. If he scores, if he's running in rhythm, Fullerton College looks almost undisputed on the field.
Yeah. And I think what you need to do is you need to get both Misael Gonzalez and you need to get Hayden Kenny up there kind of as your shot takers, your words are hard this late on a Friday evening, Ryan.
No, I mean, they're your shot takers. They're the guys who are going to set the offensive shape as well. And if you can get them going, if you can get them in rhythm, you're going to have a lot of success. We've seen it in each of the last 3 first halves for Fullerton College here on Futbol Fridays as this ball goes out. But when Fullerton isn't in rhythm, they have a lot of issues. So now we look at Fullerton and Saddleback. Currently, it's a 0-0 score, so no score, as there's about 20 minutes left in this first half of play. 25 gone as Giles will drop it down to the right-hand side. He looks for a teammate, and he's got one. Sherman's going to poke it right back. He finds Aldo, and Saddleback will take over. Bobcats with it on the right-hand side. They're going to poke it over to Castillo. Castillo, ball down to the right, tries to go with service, doesn't end up finding the lane that he wants as Eicherman almost turns it over.
And there's Saddleback, not letting Fullerton College do what they kind of like to do, which is take their time, let their defenders, let their back line kind of set up for the attack, and then float one downfield and let Misael Gonzalez and Hayden Kenny take off on that foot race that we talk about so much.
Sherman gets taken down far side of the pitch, and we're going to see a booking come in as Sherman was pushing the offense on that far side. As Saddleback will see their first of this matchup. So taken down from behind was Hayden Kenny. And now getting set to take the free kick on the far side for the Hornets. We'll see Misa go into the goal. Little dropper ends up into the left-hand corner. And Fullerton College will end up watching on as the left-hand corner will be used for the 3rd time in this matchup already for the Hornets.
Goes back to something Mark was talking about last game. He was talking about set pieces. He was talking about set plays, things of that nature. You would think Fullerton College picking up this many corner kicks, at some point you have to capitalize and find the back of the net on one of them, right?
You do, and that's the thing. You look at Fullerton and how well their offense has been able to manufacture goals almost inside the box. They get an opportunity. Looks like Sevillano had a chance there, as sensing the pressure will end up being Giles. Giles on the drop back goes over to Ochoa for Saddleback, and he will have to take off for it as Diego Duenas on the clear.
That was a smart play. It was a foot race right there. He was able to get a foot on it, and he just kind of popped it up in the air to give the rest of his team a couple valuable seconds to help try to get back into position.
So it looked like we got some substitutions ready to come in for Fullerton. Cesar Marquez looks like he wants to come on the field. Ryan Osborn.
Cesar Marquez, Omar Ruiz joining him as well. Then Juan Luis Quintana is actually going to get some time here as we get set for the closing stages of the first half.
And how do you say Mr. Rojas's first name, Ryan? Is it Gael?
It's Gael.
Gael will be the 4th player on for your Hornets. Guys, it's real interesting. Ryan, Joe, you guys have been out here. I've seen 3 corners now. why do they always look like they go to the back post on every one of their corners for Fullerton?
Well, it's worked in the past where you end up getting someone like Sevillano, who's one of your tallest guys, has a lot of leaping ability. And what you're doing is you're changing the angle. You bump it back towards that far post, then you get the header towards the near side, and you have one or two guys who are just waiting for an opportunity. You get all the defense to go to the initial header, no one covers the near side post, and it's an easy tap-in. It's worked before for the Hornets, and it's at least initiated other types of offense for them as well. But in this case, they are 0 for 3 here tonight.
Then I'll throw this one at you, Mark, being the voice of Fullerton College football. Ryan, my partner for Futbol Fridays here at KBPK, kind of tried to make the analogy last week. Special teams in football and set pieces in football here. Equally as important and equally as underrated from a casual fan perspective, do you guys think?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say set pieces in this sport, I think, are much more important than set pieces in the other football game, because most soccer matches are 1-2 goals unless you're really outplayed by the other team or your talent is so much greater. And I think set pieces, that corner, Ryan, that free kick when the wall goes up is an important thing that you have to win 35% of the time in a game.
But I'd say in football, you got to practice those special teams. That 30-yard field goal might be the game-winning field goal, Mark.
Yeah, I agree, Joe. But, I mean, you know, it'd be different if after a field goal we could go after the ball if it was wide to the left or wide to the right. I mean, on a set piece, even if you don't make the initial first shot from the corner because of where everybody is set up, that second and third shot can get you your goal.
Sapan Sutikashan is on for the Bobcats. And, guys, just a few moments ago, 3 straight shots there by the Bobcats were either deflected away or blocked for the Hornets. And the offense for the Bobcats starting to come alive here with a few more inside passes, as this one is nearly dropped to Aquino. Aquino gets that one taken away, and up and away goes Eicherman, and he will be called back.
Ryan, that was a great job by the Bobcat of getting himself locked up with the defender and then saying at the last second, hey, look, I'm getting taken down. I can't get my leg out of here. So Nathan Aquino knew that he had no play on it. Joe, it looked like us when we're upstairs, we turn down our headsets and say, I can't hear a thing. He pulled off the basic, hey, I'm tied up, call a foul.
Yeah, well, and even looked like the ref didn't book, but had a conversation with Omar Ruiz.
So set piece coming up, and it looks like it's going to be Ryan Mann who will jump right over top of it. Little floater towards the back post. It's their rebound chance as Giles will clear it away.
That
Nathan
shot
Giles
had some amazing spin and a nice little curve to it. Once again, almost an open net.
Fullerton trying to kind of protest theirs. They thought that the opposing goalkeeper for the Bobcats and Dominic DeFrena had possession of the ball and walked it back into the box and was able to pick it up afterwards. But like you mentioned, Joe, the frame was there if they were able to connect on that. As there's a takeaway for the Hornets. They're trying to push up. They've got a chance with Rosas. Rosas, far side of the pitch. He's going to take it near side the corner. He's got a chance, brings it towards the middle. Is Misa there? He is not, but he's able to finally catch up to it. Misa swung it. Left-footed, doesn't end up finding a Hornet, and it will go all the way back to Giles, nearly at the middle of the park.
Looks like Fullerton College is trying to take their turn, knocking at the door of Saddleback, also letting Saddleback know, hey, we're here. We're also trying to find the back of the net.
And guys, does it seem like so far to this point in this matchup, neither of these two teams have really been able to set up what they want to do?
Now, I think really good defense. Honestly, I like what Saddleback is running defensively. And when you watch, Joe and I've seen it, you've watched Fullerton almost put a spy on what they think is the best offensive player on Saddleback. So when they come down, they know who's going to probably get the set piece. With 12 minutes left in this first half, I think this is an excellent defensive game.
Yeah, what I will add to that, Mark, is what you're seeing is Saddleback tries to exert their force on the field. They're trying to set the tempo, play the game, swing momentum in their favor, but then Fullerton's able to counter and try to shift the game towards their tempo. Whichever team can force the other team to play their game at their speed, at their tempo, I think is going to be the team that ends up coming out on top, because now you're not playing your game, you are reacting to the other team's game.
And realize, Ryan, we've got two of the best goalies in the OEC playing each other, so you're going to have to be very precise tonight if you want to come away with a victory. This is very important to Saddleback, guys. If they win tonight, they're tied for first in the OEC, and they have the advantage over Fullerton College.
And reminder to everyone who wasn't aware of this Saddleback program to this point, it's a historic rivalry if you're talking about school to school. But if you're talking about the men's soccer program for both of these two teams, the rivalry isn't there, and not because neither of these two teams dislike each other or haven't developed a rivalry. It's because Saddleback didn't exist until this season. The men's program established this fall, and given an opportunity to kind of say, hey, here's an extra chance for student athletes in South County to get an opportunity at the collegiate level with just how successful the women's team has been at Saddleback over the last few years. It's a great chance now for the men's team to come in and thrive.
And what a statement to make as you come out onto the scene.
Yeah, and when you mentioned that, so far they are in the top 4 of the Orange Empire Conference. They have an excellent chance, as Mark mentioned, to possibly even overtake number 1 in the conference. And if they get a win over top of Fullerton, that's not something that you can really gaff about.
No, that's a heck of a freshman performance from a new program entering the OEC.
Ball goes out right-hand side. And one of the things that we love to see here at KBPK is we'll say the cornucopia of colors of the soccer ball that we see all across the Orange Empire Conference. Right now it's a gray ball down the right-hand side, and it just gives you a little bit of a different look here.
You mean invisibility? This is like a Harry Potter soccer game. You say the right words, the ball turns, a color that you can see as a soccer player.
Well, right on cue, Mark. Saddleback says we don't like the gray soccer ball, and they end up floating that one away and getting a white soccer ball.
I think the spell was expecto futbolo.
8:57 to go in this half, guys. One goal could mean a lot right about now for either of these teams.
It could, and again, talking about momentum, talking about tempo, that's a heck of a statement to make, and a heck of a way for both teams to have to go into the halftime, turning a 0-0 game into a 1-0 game.
Chance for the Hornets. They keep it on the left-hand touch line. It will be deflected out. Goes off the foot of Alex Martinez. And Mark, just a few moments ago, we were talking about how the men's program over at Saddleback is trying to establish themselves as a power in the top 4 of the Orange Empire Conference. And the way that they're doing that is by employing one of the best coaches in all of the Orange Empire Conference to be the flagship captain for this inaugural season for the men's team. BJ McNichol, very simple, lots of success with the women's program. And Mark, he is one of the best coaches, if not just in the OEC, also in the state.
Yeah, and the thing that's interesting.
As Misa has the ball on the left foot, he'll see it deflect away. He decides he's going to keep possession with it. Goes over towards his right, trying to dribble past 3. He still got it. Tries for that left post, and it will go past the end line. A great individual effort there by Misa to get himself some space, but he just isn't able to get that finish into the twine.
Was a heck of a one-man mission, and I think near the end of that, he should have probably looked up and tried to find another Hornet.
And you mentioned that, Joe. He did have Hayden Kenny towards that right side, or excuse me, it was Omar Ruiz on that right-hand side. So this is taken away. Now Misa with it once more. Misa on his right foot. Beautiful takeaway there, as getting a foot on that will end up being Carlo.
Misael Gonzalez seems insistent to try to make some sort of statement before they go into half.
Kevin Sanchez gets pulled down when he thought he had an opportunity to make a break. And Ryan, to go back to B.J. McNichol, you can see it with his team. He's a coach that teaches fundamentals on this field. As an easy little catch down in the goal, not even close to being a score. But you watch them fundamentally, and when the number one person for Fullerton touches the ball, Ryan Osborn, there's 2 white jerseys all over him. It looks like, hey, whitewash that blue jersey any way I can.
And big-time credit to Alex Lavilla. He's gone up against Misa multiple times in this one and has come away the victor in an individual battle on this left side of the offense for Fullerton. Avila has looked great to this point. Floriano is going to pick it up here for the Hornets. But you mentioned that, Mark. Both of these two teams, on either side, you're looking at the back line saying this is our match to play, and neither of these forward sets are able to do anything to get themselves into rhythm. They're not able to set up the offense that they would like because of heavy physicality and kind of like what you were talking about, the ghost, the spy, who's there to force the opponent to, we'll say, change their game plan, if you will.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Ryan.
Here's Carlo.
I think you guys are letting Halloween and spooky season affect you. Ghosts, spies. The thing I'm going to hear is the Frankenstein's monster and the boogeyman's on the field.
Well, there's orange and black. That's what the ref's wearing. Halloween colors.
Speaking of the month of October and Halloween, and then also Dia de los Muertos coming up. KBPK going to have a lot of stuff coming your way with Dia de los Muertos here on campus. But for the moment being, the Fullerton Hornets are on offense. They try and scoop this one towards the middle. It's actually going to go off the foot of Quintana as he tries to get that service towards the frame, but just couldn't get it past the outstretched foot of Avila.
Once again, great defending, great speed from Saddleback. You get there and you put your body in the way of them trying to send the ball to the middle.
And this is where I'd like to see him do a short corner to kick. I'd like to see Misa come out and meet the ball, Ryan. Instead of putting it in the middle, I'd like to see Misa head towards the ball and then take a shot from maybe 10 to 15 yards out.
Someone sounds like they're listening to you, Mark.
Quintana coming over to it. Quintana still with it on his right foot. Now trying to switch to his left. He's chased there by Avila. Now with Eicherman. Eicherman on the bump. It's still inside. Chance for the Hornets. It's clanging around. It looked like it went off someone's hand. Didn't end up finding the call there as that ball gets deflected twice. Once more, it finally finds Ruiz. Ruiz tries to swing it on the inside, and it will be sent out of play on that far side of the field near the corner with just under 4 minutes to play in this first half. It's still no score between Fullerton and Saddleback.
I think if you're Ruiz, you settle it. You're barely outside of the top of the box. You should have settled it, one touch, taken a shot. You're getting a shot on goal, and you're piling the pressure on.
I keep wanting him to bring Misa out of the box, guys. I really do.
Speaking of Misa, with the deflection there, ball goes into the left-hand corner. Now switched over towards Giles. Giles trying to find this near side post, and it's just a shade away from Sevillano. And Sevillano will watch as everyone chases back.
And, Joe, I like the fact that you saw what we were talking about a second ago. You're getting so much congestion in the box. Misa is not allowed to do what he does, which is very special. He's getting crowded by the defenders and also by his co-players. They need to get him out in the flat where he can take somebody and pull the trigger from 20 yards out because he has a wicked shot. And that's why, because he's the best in the OEC.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not going to let you get that close to the goal, you've got...
Chance for Omar Ruiz on the inside, ends up going past his foot. That's actually, going off of Cesar Marquez. Marquez, beautiful chance there by Meeson. You're seeing Fullerton change what their formation is, their alineation as well, if you will. As you're seeing Misa go to that right-hand side and go away from the one-on-one matchup against Avila.
Exactly, Ryan. And I really do think they need to get him in the clear, because not only can you say he can score, but he sets up the players around him. And Joe, when he gave us the big O a second ago, there was a ball sitting right there for a possible goal.
Yeah.
Down the middle it flies. A chance, and the Hornets score. Angel Sevillano gets his second of the season, and he gives Fullerton College a 1-0 lead.
Looks like we've got 2 minutes left in the half. Let's see if Saddleback, who's also knocked at Fullerton College's door, is able to do anything and retaliate. Fullerton College, though, able to find the back of the net. And kind of talking about what you were saying a second ago before they did put one in the goal, Mark, I think Fullerton College, if they won't let you inside of that 18-yard box, you need to start taking your shots at or around the 18-yard box, at the line of the 18-yard box. Just be firing off those shots on goal. Make the goalkeeper work. Keep on the pressure. And sooner or later, you're going to find the back of the net like the Hornets just did.
Yeah, and the thing that was, too, again, is now that you've got everybody so focused on your number one star, it has to be the co-stars that come through in this game.
Right-hand side, they're looking for Carlo. Carlo, beautiful drop back. He'll find Tyler Peterson. Peterson, left-hand side. There's a shot. It will dribble in. Doesn't look like, guys, that was what they wanted to set up, but it ends up still being a shot on.
I think it was a hastily taken shot, and I think he made contact mostly with the top of the ball, which is why we saw it lose a lot of that speed and momentum as it basically gently rolled into the goalkeeper's hands or feet.
Coming up at the half, in just a few moments, we're going to have a halftime interview coming up with a member of the women's soccer program here at Fullerton College. They had a match earlier as this one goes on the inside, still poked away, and it clings around towards the top of the box and will be dropped back over towards Sevillano. Sevillano gives chase. It goes back to Marquez. Marquez finds Sevillano once more, now to Quintana. Quintana looking for a teammate. He's going to chase down towards the corner, tries to backheel it over towards Aldo, but can't get that one to connect, and it will be flown into the crowd on this left-hand side.
Once again, you settle, you take the shot. Or you take the shot without settling, and I think that's how you're going to catch Saddleback on their heels.
Fullerton watching on as Nathan Giles is going to toss this one in. The question is, will he end up going for the inside of the box? Floats one in. It's there, back post, and a beautiful job there of keeping possession is done by Dominic DeFrena.
It looks like, are we actually in stoppage time right now, Ryan?
We are indeed. That goal a few moments ago was scored by Sevillano in the 43rd minute of play, as this will end up being a free kick as the foul goes against Sevillano. And Carlo will set it down in what is presumably, we'll call it, the final moments of the first half between Fullerton and Saddleback.
Tried to play leapfrog on a football field.
Aldo, the only person on the wall here as this goes and gets floated up towards the box. Back post, chance there, and it ends up going just past the awaiting foot of Kevin Sanchez. So in just a few moments at the half, we are going to have an interview. Jenny Kim will be joined by Shasid Carrillo. Sevillano getting a drink of water and saying, you know what, I'm going to take that break with you guys in just a few moments.
I mean, realistically, I'm going to say there's a 93.7% chance that this goal kick is taken, and we're going to hear the halftime whistle.
You know what, Joe? I think I'm actually going to lower it to a 90.1 chance here on KBPK. 1-0 is our score. Fullerton with the lead over Saddleback. So that's floated up to the middle. And sure enough, that is the halftime whistle. So Fullerton gets on the board. It's 1-0. Fullerton College with the advantage as we go to the half. It is Fullerton with the lead, 1-0 over top of Saddleback. You are watching Futbol Fridays here on KBPK. In just a few moments, we're going to have a halftime interview as Jenny Kim is going to take over here at the half. In just a few moments, Angel Sevillano got the goal in the 43rd minute. And that is the only recorded goal to this point, as we're going to bring in Jenny Kim here in just a few moments. And Jenny, you have a halftime interview here.
Thank you, Ryan. For my halftime interview, I have Shasid Carrillo. She plays left wing on our women's Fullerton College soccer team, and she's a sophomore at Fullerton College. So, Shasid, I know you just played a game. Who did you guys play, and how did you guys do?
So we just played Saddleback. I think when we started the first half, it was a bit iffy. We kind of came in with the strategy that we were going to defend, and that's when we got scored early. But I definitely think that during the second half, when we just started playing our game, we were able to match up to their level, and we got zero goals scored against us. So I definitely think if we would have done that from the start, it would have been a very, very intense game.
It sounds like it must have been a great learning experience. Coming from this game, what would you say is your team's biggest strength, and what are some places where you guys could use some improvement?
I think one of our biggest strengths is definitely to keep pushing. This year we have a low number on girls, but everybody has a passion, everybody has a want, and no matter how tired we get, we're always there for each other. We always support each other, and we know that we can do it as long as we stick together as a team through the highs and lows. For weaknesses, I definitely think that we should work on our shots. We have the momentum, the build-up, everything's there, and I just think that when we get to the last third, we just can't finish and put it in the back of the net, but there's definitely room for improvement there.
And moving forward, how do you see your team doing, and what do you think is the outcome for the rest of the season?
Moving forward, I think we definitely have a good chance. I mean, if we were able to take on the number one school in state in the second half with 0 goals, I think we definitely could put up a fight with other big teams. I think all of this is a learning experience. No matter how much we lose or how much we win, everything is up from here. We can only improve and get better. And as long as our mentality stays the same, winning isn't everything. It's always like a learning experience, getting better as a team. I think our conference is going to go well, hopefully.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time,
Thank
Shasid,
you.
and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you so much.
And a big thank you to Jenny Kim for joining us here at the half. Here on KBPK, I am Ryan Osborn, joined by Joseph Pavlenko. Now, before we go anywhere, guys, we want to quickly recap what just took place in the first half. Mark, Joe, you look at Fullerton, you look at Saddleback. Yes, Fullerton scores and has the lead, but it's not really something where you look at and you say, okay, Fullerton is dominated, or Saddleback is dominated but got unlucky. Both of these two teams didn't look like they were very comfortable thanks to the other side's defensive efforts.
Yeah, well, Ryan, I agree with you. When you talked about everything changing up on the field, you watch Saddleback drop 4 or 5 players, and Joe, you brought it up during the game. They brought back 5 players very quickly, and then you would put a forward out very high for Saddleback, and it was a one-on-one confrontation when you looked at what was going on down there. And basically it was Brian Carlo, the midfielder, that was going up high for Saddleback looking for those one-on-one plays. I really do think they were hoping for a ball just going a little long and then making it a foot race towards the goal. That was the offense of Saddleback in the first half.
Yeah, and then you had Fullerton College, and like you said, Mark, Fullerton College constantly feeding Misael Gonzalez, Hayden, Kenny. It wasn't until you saw Angel Silviano get the ball, found his foot, and it found the back of the net. They are doing double and in some cases triple coverage of those superstar, let's say, Hornets. The Hornets that are the scorers on this team. There's an actual football term, and it escapes me, Ryan. The strikers? I don't know. I give up. It's a Friday night. But anyway, they send it to Angel Silviano, and he finds the back of the net because they're, like you said, they're focusing so much on those goal scoring, the guys who have run up the numbers so far in the season. And that's probably what your recipe to success is going to be the rest of this game, potentially.
And that's interesting, Ryan, that Joe brings that up. When do you make Misa the delegator on offense? I know he's the offensive prowess for Gabe down on the field down there. Wrong coach. Sorry, I get him confused all the time. I apologize.
But, Mark, I think it's not when do you start. I think he has been that the entire time. He, in what I have talked to the coaching staff, is that floor general for them. So he decides what the spacing is. He decides where the point of attack is going to be. think of him like a goalkeeper in terms of communication, but not with the back line. It's with the up-top midfielders and the other two guys who are at forward with him. He's not just that forward who says, okay, I'm going to stay here, wait for service, and then just take it to the net myself. He's the type of person who is going to command multiple defenders to him and tell his guys what runs to make. So that's what Misa is. He's not just the guy that runs to a specific spot, waits for the ball, and then dominates what the ball is going to do for the offense. Instead, he's the guy who's actually the floor general up top for them.
And does Fullerton College, Joe, you've been out here with Ryan, does their defense get enough love? I mean, guys, Saddleback is an excellent team. They're sitting right there as one of the better teams with B.J. McNichol, the coach, showing them what to do. But you look, they've got the top goalie in the OEC along with Saddleback. They've got defensemen that know, Joe, how to take the attackers, push them in the wrong direction, or tie them up just enough to slow down the onslaught defensively.
What I'm going to say is apparently on Hal Scherbeck Field, football, whether it's the football match we're watching right now on Futbol Fridays at KBPK or the football you're watching on SportsNetUSA.net, defense seems to be the key, whether it's Brian Crooks's or it's the defense from Greg Avila's.
Ryan, you buy this?
Yeah, I'd have to say I agree. It's that you look at the way that both of these two teams performed in the first half. We came in with expectations, right? Or expectations, I should
Well, yeah,
say.
I was going to give you some cough medicine.
I was going to give it to you. You could
Yeah, I
have
was
kept
going to
running.
say, go ahead and fleck it up, man. It's okay. That's only Corey and
But
I next to you.
We came in with expectations on the style of game we were going to see. I don't think this is exactly what we thought we were going to see. We thought we were going to see, yes, a defensive battle, but we didn't think we were going to see both backlines dominate. That's what they've done so far, is they have dominated. And you were talking about it. The defense has performed well because it's Hal Scherbeck Field for both of the football and football teams. But the back lines for both these two sides have dominated. Look at Alex Avila just a few moments ago going one-on-one against Misa, where it looked like he had three different guys beat, and then Avila is there. On the other side, Seviano and Giles working that right-hand side of the back line. They've performed really well as well. Now, before we continue with this, we're going to have a little bit more of this discussion as we come back from the half and go into the second half. But guys, let's get to something that's extremely important here at Fullerton College. Actually, we'll get to two things first. The first will be World College Radio, Jay. I'll allow Joe to talk about that. And then we're going to go to a campaign that we talked to Gil about earlier this week and also this entire month. We'll start it off with World College Radio Day, Joe.
Yeah, so today is World College Radio Day. We celebrated, I guess you could say, at KBPK on the campus of Fullerton College. We had the 235 students on the air talking to whoever we could get in the studio today, whether it was Manny Pacheco, Ken Starkman, or anybody else that we could try to wrangle into the studio to talk about really whatever, because the theme this year is all voices are welcome. So we wanted anybody who wanted to come on the radio. And honestly, we just wanted to spread the love, promote anything we could at Fullerton College, which is why Ken Starkman, the Dean of the Technology and Engineering, was in there, because today also, for him and his division, happened to be Manufacturing Day on campus. So he came on, talked about his day so far, and everything that he did, and it was quite the show that he was running today on the campus, highlighting all the different divisions within the Tech and Engineering division, whether it was fashion, printing, welding, and all of that sort of stuff. And that's why we had him on to kind of tag team, to use a entertainment or corporate word that I hate, synergize.
Well, it's just an extra opportunity for students, student athletes, and everyone to have a chance to realize, hey, you know what? The community isn't just, oh, Fullerton College exists, and we just move on. You know, I drove past Fullerton College while I was driving up Lemon on my way to go get something to eat in Brea. No, it's actually involved with the community. It's actually involved with the rest of the country and how things develop here at Fullerton in different career opportunities, different learning opportunities for not just student athletes, but students as well, and people who are just interested in learning something new.
Well, and Joe, I'm going to throw this at you because I'm the old guy up here. I mean, let's be realistic. They're both staring at me now, people. I am the old guy.
Whoa.
Joe and Ryan are my technical geniuses at the radio station. They're modern. They're like most of your children out there, your grandchildren. They're not like the old days with a tin can and a string that you brought to the game and hopefully somebody could see it. Joe, the thing that's interesting about radio is I know people will constantly say that traditional terrestrial radio is dead, but it's not that radio is dead. Radio has transitioned, and that's what I think people forget when they say National College Radio Day. Everybody goes, did I get that right?
World College Radio.
Oh, it's
College.
national. I didn't hear any world people. I just saw local people here at KBPK. But it is transitional now in the radio market.
Yeah, 100%. How you get your audio has changed. Maybe you don't reach for a dial. Maybe you go to Spotify, although that's a kind of humanless interaction. But I'd make an argument that talk radio exists and it's thriving. We just call it podcasts now. I would argue that there's a thriving community of online-only radio stations. Sure, maybe they're not obligated to the FCC rules and regulations. But, I mean, if you come down to technicalities, right? Is a cable station technically have to abide by the FCC? They technically function.
No, you mean on TV? No.
Technically, they function under different rules, right?
Yeah,
It's
they do.
it's basic television channels have the FCC watching them. But once you get to premium stuff, cable channels, premium things like HBO, they kind of write their own rules, and it's the liberties they can take with what they can put on the air is what the advertisers allow them to, right? And that's the same kind of stuff that we're seeing as radio and audio moves online. The types of advertisers that they carry is dependent on who you're trying to advertise with and what your target demographic is, to talk about some boring industry terms, and what they'll take, right? The type of content your advertiser is willing to put up with, and all that kind of stuff. So it's just changing, but it isn't gone, like you were saying.
Well, Ryan Osborn was gone for a second.
He was. Oh, Ryan's cueing me. Apparently his mic isn't working. We're going to transition to point number 2, and I guess I'm teeing this up for Ryan to hit the ball on this one.
Well, it would have been nice if my brain actually worked there for a second, because I was trying to put the graphic on, continue with the conversation, but it all boils down to like Joe was saying, the second point that we have here at the half is something that's near and dear to a lot of us here at KBPK and also in the entire campus of Fullerton College. This week starts off Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Entire month of October, Fullerton College is going to stress the fact that they want people to not only just have the awareness. We've heard all about breast cancer awareness. You hear the different foundations. You hear the different places across the entire United States where you can learn about it. But this is more of a stress to have people realize, hey, they need to go and get themselves checked and make sure that they're okay.
Yeah, and I mean, too many young people, especially the young women on campuses, are always like, I've got young guys in the booth with me. I'm young. Nothing will happen to me. I'm okay. And we as a group have all been affected by the big C, the word cancer, as a group, the people that are in this booth right now. And we need to stress to individuals out there, if there's an anomaly, something with your body is a little different than it was in the past, you happen to feel a lump if you're a young woman, don't sit there and say, I'm not going to worry about it, or it can't happen to me. Make sure you go to the doctor. Doesn't matter what age you are, but make sure you go to the doctor. And I'll flip it for men too. If there's something wrong with you, if all of a sudden you realize your body has changed a little, don't just say, well, hey, they were talking breast cancer awareness. I'm not going to be concerned about any of that. I'm a guy, nothing happens to me. You need to take steps and to make sure that you are the one. And realize there are a lot of people out there right now that don't have the medical insurance that they need to get there. If you're a student here at Fullerton College, reach out to the different groups here at Fullerton College and find help where you can say, You know what? I think there might be something wrong with me. Is there somebody I can go to? I don't have health insurance. Could you help me out and direct me in the right direction? You'll find that at every community college, every state college, every California State University here. And if you're one of those individuals, like Ryan Osborn said, don't let it go. You don't want to hear somebody say to you, you should have seen me 8 weeks ago. So remember, breast cancer awareness, and one other thing too, Ryan, to go along with that, it's Hispanic Heritage Month also going on right now. And take a little time to check out Hispanic heritage, especially if you're a Californian, especially if you're a kid that grew up in Orange County. If Jerry Padilla was around, well, we'd never get him off the air, but Ryan Osborn could say, and Ryan, don't go away, Jerry Padilla could go on for hours about the history of the Hispanic community here in Orange County.
Yeah, Mark, and that's one of the things that's always very interesting here at Fullerton College is not only is it Hispanic Heritage Month where you can have the opportunity to learn so much, but they do different events. I mean, you and I were walking around after the last Futbol Friday. We go into the quad. There's a big-time speaker in the state of California who has had a massive impact on the Hispanic community in the state, and that was hosted here at Fullerton. Also, they had the opportunity to have different food. You know, oftentimes what you'll see in the past from other places, not Fullerton College, is you'll hear the word Hispanic Heritage Month. You'll hear the words Latino Heritage Month. But in effect, you don't get that same thing. You know, you'll see that celebration, but it ends up being pizza that's served.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not what you found at Fullerton. You found exactly what was near and dear to the speaker's heart, what was near and dear to the audience's heart. And, yeah, it's something as simple as food, but it does make it more real. It makes it more welcoming to the average person who's just walking by and saying, I want to learn about this stuff. You also have to add in Dia de los Muertos, which is going to happen here on KBPK. If you want to watch either online, take a look at the pre-recorded and live content that we're going to have that day. But it's something that happens each and every year here at Fullerton College and gives people another opportunity to learn and grow. As we get set for the action here in the second half of play between Fullerton College and Saddleback, Ryan Osborn joined by Joseph Pavlenko and Mark Pavlovich here on KBPK as we get set for half number 2. Ball over towards the right side here in the second half. Ryan Osborn, Joseph Pavlenko, and Mark Pavlovich here on Futbol Fridays.
Hi, it's me. I'm back.
Another opportunity for us to bring you Fullerton College athletics, Fullerton College football. And don't forget that we have Futbol Fridays here each and every week, coming to you live from KBPK. Ball goes out past the end line. It's going to be a goal kick coming up. Left-hand side as Fullerton College now changes their attacking side. They'll be going from left to right here in the second half. And on the other side for Saddleback, they will be going from right to left. No change in goal for Fullerton nor for Saddleback. It is Floriano and DeFrena as the opponent goalies on both of these two sides.
Well, that's something we didn't quite get to during the halftime, Ryan. You were talking about the back lines and the defense. But the goalies on both of these teams, some of the best in the OEC.
Yeah, and you mentioned that Fullerton College, their goalkeepers combined for a 1.27 goals against average. On the other side for Saddleback, it's 1.5, which has been spectacular, not just in the OEC, but also in the state of California. You're looking at Fullerton right now, who is tied for 5th in the CCCAA in terms of goals against that they have allowed. And sitting right with them is actually Saddleback, who is tied for the 8th lowest goals against with 12 goals in 8 matches. So both of these two teams, excellent defensively. They have really contributed when it comes to their back line and keeping nearly clean sheets or actually getting the clean sheet that they look for. Ball on the left-hand side. It's going to go into the awaiting possession of not Hugo Galliena, but Pedro Castillo. Castillo continues the offense up to the end line, and that's where it will end.
You look at what Greg Aviles has done, Ryan. He's got a few new faces now on the pitch, not the same starting lineup he had in that first half. So we'll see what those changes will mean to his team offensively. And the same, we'll get some of those changes on the field for this Saddleback team, too.
Ball at midfield, inside the circle. Misa goes up for the ball. Can't win it over, but does have a little bit of help. It goes into the awaiting right foot. Fullerton's Brian Aragon, who subs in here in the second half. He's played a crucial role for them in attacking over the last 3 weeks of play. This ball goes out, stays with Saddleback, and a toss-in coming up next. Nearly the same starting lineup as in the first half for the Saddleback Bobcats. Bobcats now with Jean Cortez. Cortez looking for the right side, and that gets intercepted by Sevillano. Sevillano sees it over to Eicherman. Eicherman sees the clearance, and it will end up going back to Sevillano as a throw-in comes up for Fullerton College. 1-0 is our score. 44th minute, Angel Sevillano with the goal, and he gives Fullerton their advantage. Scoops it over towards midfield. Now to Misa. Misa on the dummy. Misa tries to get back in front of it, finally does circle back for it. Goes against two. Beautiful dispossessed there. It's taken over by Ryan Mann.
But it's just like Mark was saying, in the first half, wherever Misael Gonzalez goes, there's two, at minimum, white shirts of those Saddleback Bobcats.
Back-to-back defensive plays there made by the back line of the Bobcats. Ryan Mann right in the thick of it. I mean, just a few moments ago, you see a chance as this one is going to be floated in towards the right side where it will be picked up by DeFrena. Left-footed. Off the back. Bobcats keep it in. Now to Kevin Sanchez. Sanchez sees that pop into the air. Misa to the right. Can't find a teammate. That is Hugo Galeana, as Galeana checks in for the first time today. So Fullerton College changes up their attacking five, we'll call it. With the exception of Misa, everyone else just comes into the second half fresh. Drop pass. Also entering for the Hornets will be Alexis Tamayo. Switch over to Carlo. Carlo, drop pass. Spencer Simis. Simis working against Aragon. Simis, left foot, skies it into the air.
You know, I got a question for both of you. Ryan, I'll see a guy shoot from 40 yards out, goalie catches it. Nobody doesn't necessarily call that a save. So I've often wondered, when does an official in soccer say, that's a save and that's not a save? Have you ever had anybody really give you the definition on that?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's almost as simple as the hockey explanation. If the goalie wasn't standing there, would the ball have gone in? Answer is yes, tack on a save. Answer is no, no save.
Okay. Because I've asked people that,
Now
and I've gotten stares.
The only other exception that I have heard is on something like you saw a few moments ago where that ball was just kind of cleared away and ends up going on frame. In that situation, it's more just a clearance that happens to go to the goalkeeper. There was an intention to get the shot on. So that's a difference where you'll see the stat doesn't go in as a save because it wasn't meant to be a shot.
Okay.
But the rule of thumb that I have heard explained to me a couple times is if the goalie wasn't standing there, would the shot have gone in? If yes, count it as a save. Okay.
So now you know at home while you're watching Futbol Fridays here on KBPK, if you're wondering that, well, you've gotten the definitive answer from Ryan Osborn.
And we thank everyone who's joining us here on Futbol Fridays. Once again, Ryan Osborn, Joseph Pavlenko, Mark Pavlovich joining you. You heard Jenny Kim at the half with a halftime interview with one of the athletes from the women's program here on campus. as this ball goes past the touchline, and it will be thrown in for the Bobcats as they take possession once more. Gael Rosas on the chase. He'll look for Eicherman. Eicherman finds Marquez and a backpedaling Sevillano who tries to complete the triangle but can't do so. Fullerton takes it back, but they aren't able to keep possession for all too long as it will be picked up and finally kept on that far side by Avila. Avila and Jean Cortez, both of those two guys going back and forth. High into the air, a chance. Little tapper, right-hand side, over top of the goal.
What a shot. What an opportunity. Tap, tap, tap. Joseph Pavlenko, and they should have tied this game up.
And you have to give credit to Kevin Sanchez. Sorry, Joe, didn't mean to step on your bounce there for a moment, but Kevin Sanchez with the little drop pass off to the right-hand side, it's beautifully placed.
I was going to say, I missed that over here in the press box. Did that go off a post or part of the woodwork on the...
No, it actually, well, technically yes, but it went off the football goal post.
Yeah.
And then deflected away, so it had a different illusion because initially it looked like it popped off the crossbar and went down and in, but then you realize it hits the goalpost directly behind the frame, and it does not end up going in.
But Ryan Osborn, it was there. I mean, that's not an illusion. It was there.
Yeah, Saddleback definitely came into the second half highly motivated. They're putting on the pressure. They're trying to find the back of the net. They really, I mean, they need to knot it up 1-1 pretty soon in this half. Then you get some momentum moving your way, and it almost feels like an entirely different second half once it's tied up at 1. Because then that lets you have momentum. That lets you, Mark, take some of the pressure off. Now you're not playing catch-up. Now what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the game-closing score as
Kevin Sanchez gets on the board. So right as you're talking about it, the game-tying score goes in, and Kevin Sanchez off a deflection. Guys, would you call that an own goal? That's the question, because that ball was going wide.
I would.
And deflects off the Fullerton defender and in.
To partially quote you, Ryan, if the ball wouldn't have otherwise gone into the goal, it's got to be a deflection. It got the assist, intentional or not. That's what put it in the back of the net.
Well, and Ryan, you can see the way the goalie reacts to it by being a misdirection by his own player, because you'll see a goalie react slowly, and it's one of those goals that shouldn't have been.
Right, and that's why I think all three of us in the booth have talked about the goalie is basically the quarterback on the soccer field. They're the general on the soccer field because they need to direct the flow of traffic. If they say, hey, I need the box clear, it's because they need to be able to see the ball. They don't want you in their way. They don't want a stray ball to bounce off of you and find the back of the net.
Well, let's see if anybody gets a little more giddy up to their step along the way here. A Saddleback looks to get back on with another goal.
So Kevin Sanchez has the game tire just about 11 minutes in from half. So if you're keeping tabs at home, that is the 56th minute. Here's a chance for Hayden Kenny. Kenny looking for a pass over to Misa. Can't quite connect that one as it goes off the side of his heel. He says, let's try this again on the right side. Overhits it, and it will go astray.
Okay, Ryan Osborn, I've got to ask you on that attack. So Misa's going down the middle of the field. They're getting crowded next to each other. Do you get Misa to veer out to his left?
No, because what that does is at that point, since you already have a defender on Kenny who's right on his hip, it doesn't really help you, because if Kenny does flip it or tries to flip it over top to Misa, you've got the defender there who's going to stop the service. You're relying on that person to stop the service. So if you take Misa to the back post, in effect, you're taking him out of the play since the defender is already that close to Hayden Kenny. If the defender is 2, 3, 4 steps, 4 strides away, as Kenny drops it down to the right side to Marquez. Marquez tries to flat pass this one to his left, but can't get that to connect. But if the defender is 4 or 5 strides away, then you have the opportunity to say, okay, Misa, go out wide, stretch out the defense. Maybe you can get lost in the back post. But in that situation, the defender is so close, you don't really have a chance to get service. So Misa going away, takes him out of the play.
I think in that situation, and somebody that's been critical of the one-man missions, Hayden Kenny should have just completed that one-man mission. Like you said, Ryan, Misael Gonzalez wasn't really an option. There was no passing lane to him. You should have taken the shot on goal. Who knows? You didn't have a great angle. Maybe you get lucky.
And here's the thing, too. When you say that, you see how good Hayden Kenny has been in terms of setting pace, in terms of getting the ball up as quickly as possible. If he's able to beat the defender, go right after it. This will be a foul just inside of midfield, and it looks like a yellow card is going to be issued to Hugo Galeana. And Galeana at the, we'll call it the 58th, will end up getting booked.
And guys, as you watch Saddleback now, they're bringing up the defense. You'll keep one guy back at midfield, but you watch how far the defenders are now coming up. This is where Saddleback looks like they want to make their play with 31:40 left in this second half.
I mean, like I said, Mark, you found the back of the goal. You've knotted it up 1-1. It's a brand new game, Mark. Next goal could be the winner.
Out at midfield, here's Hayden Kenny. Kenny trying to get past, but a takeaway there by Cortez sends it into the air. Galeana looking for Kenny, can't get it to him, and this one gets deflected away towards Misa, and Avila is there. He is also joined by Ryan Mann, and Mann, when you look at it, Mark, Joe, he has had a beautiful night to this point in being that center back for his program.
Yeah, he really has. And now you can feel, if you're a Saddleback fan out here, the Gauchos know how important a tie or a win is.
Bobcats.
Oh, that's right, the Bobcats. Like I said, I'm old, baby. I'm old school. Been around for 23 years calling the other game of football.
That is a heck of a
They tried to play the
floater?
ball into space, yeah. I would call it that, Joe, because it had a lot of backspin to it. The goal there is to set it into open space, have it backspin, and stop as soon as it hits that first bounce and kind of settle for Misa on that far side of the field. Doesn't connect. Now everyone's going to end up inside the box.
Well,
Chance here for the Hornets.
like we've talked about, both these keepers great at what they do and not afraid to come out of the box and help either with the defense or whatever. We just saw on Fullerton's side, I think 32, 33-yard line is where the keeper was. He's hovering about on the 25-yard line right now. He's not afraid to come out. And what coming out of the goal does is it makes him a threat, especially when he's inside of the box. He can cut off an angle, slide, go to a player's feet, and try to wrap up the ball.
Joe, what also happens when you bring your goalie out that far as everybody moves up, the goalie is that first person to touch that long pass. And if your guys are breaking, he should be able to get it to that individual to run the offense.
Right side, walking this right up to the line and seeing that ball just get across is Alex Martinez, and a goal kick is coming up. You and I were talking about this before, and it goes back to what you were just mentioning. You look at Floriano and the way that he commands his entire team in front of him. You know, you're used to soccer goalkeepers being very communicative in what they want from their squad, spacing, get it up quickly, slow it down, bring it up from the back. But Floriano takes it to the next step. He's always chattering and talking and not just communicating, but it's almost like he's having conversations with his back four, and it goes beyond that communication asset that he brings. He is that talkative type of goalkeeper that is having conversations with his center backs and his wings.
It's interesting. Greg Aviles now brings in two new midfielders for the Hornets. He brings in Cesar Marquez and also Neil Sanchez. So he's going to try and tighten up the middle, Ryan Osborn, as he adds midfielders to the attack and the defensive side for this Hornet team.
And you mentioned Neil Sanchez. We saw him last week in that matchup against IVC. In the 15th minute, he got his first career collegiate goal. and it gave Fullerton a 3-0 advantage at the time, as Fullerton scored 3 in the opening 15 to take the lead. So Neil Sanchez comes back in for the Fullerton College Hornets. The first time in this match, though, but second time in just about a week that we have seen him at Hal Scherbeck Field. Throwing coming up for the Bobcats, right side of the field, near side. It will be Jean Cortez. Cortez off to his left, finds Sevillano, and the Bobcats will take it away. Bobcats move up with Castillo. Castillo hits the deck. He has some contact there and ends up getting hit by Cesar Marquez. 27 minutes left to go in this one, so just under the final 30 of play. Reminder, if this ends up getting past regulation in a draw, that is where it will end, as there is no overtime until the playoffs in the CCCAA. Marquez on the takeaway, looking for someone over to his left. Just entering for Fullerton is Isaac Olivas. And Olivas will watch this one shade its way into midfield. Taken back, scooped away, deflected twice, dropped down over to Olivas, and he'll find Sanchez. Sanchez for Kenny. Kenny finds Marquez, and Marquez will scoop it over to his left.
Fullerton College's back line is trying to kind of move the ball around, widen the field, give their offense some time to kind of settle, get in position, and do what they just did, which is float it up top and try to make a run on the goal.
And if you watch Saddleback, they brought in a couple new defensemen that are back deep for them. They've still got 4 defensemen back deep. They're still running that 4-3-3 when you look at them out there. And Ryan, you sort of wonder at this stage of the game, if you were Saddleback, are you gonna sort of be happy if you can get out of here with a tie?
You know, if you're Saddleback, the way it's 2 different answers. If you're after the first half and how the first half ended with Fullerton getting on the board, I think the answer would be yes. But considering the fact that they have 2 of the 3 good chances coming out of half and have, honestly, their midfield has kind of taken over in the last 15 minutes of play, I don't think you're satisfied with it if you're asking that question at this point in the game. At the end of the first half, I think the answer would have been yes, but now I don't think so.
And it looks like Fullerton's waiting to get some kind of sub in as well. Looks like we just have Kyle Sherman on the sideline. Looks like he got some orders from one of the coaches. I think that was Kenny Castellanos giving him some sort of direction. And so I think once the... Yeah, I gave up on that one, Mark. I wasn't going to butcher that. Thanks, Ryan. But yeah, he's waiting for Fullerton College to have a ball out so he can make that switch. Greg Avilas now looks like he's giving him some direction.
Just a few moments ago, an excellent chance there for Pedro Castillo. Castillo sends that just over top of the frame, guys. And Saddleback was maybe a foot away from taking a 2-1 advantage in this one. Couple of subs going off as Sanchez will end up taking a seat. He's also going to go out there with Alex Martinez. And hopping back onto the pitch to start will be Dominic Ochoa. And Ochoa will be out there with Oscar Hernandez. Dominic Ochoa, couple assists. He's got 2 points, but only 1 shot this season. More of a distributor than anything.
Last couple outings from the Hornets here at Hal Scherbeck Field have been very different from the first game that you and I were at on Futbol Friday, Ryan, where Fullerton College just kind of ran away with it.
Yeah, you look at that matchup against Cuyamaca, and it just seemed like you and I were talking about it. Anything Fullerton wanted to do on the pitch, they did. Plain and simple. They asserted themselves. They were dominant, and it looked like no one could really run with them. And now the last couple of matches that we've seen them, it's been a tale of 2 different halves. You see the first half for Fullerton, yes. We mentioned it. Backlines were dominant in the first 45 of play. But once Fullerton gets on the board, they tend to get chances in bunches. They had an extra opportunity right before the final whistle of the first 45. But now here in the second half, they're struggling to get themselves back into a rhythm offensively.
There's What? There's Saddleback with some double coverage on the Hornets.
Well, you just watch Cortez make a great tackle when he had an opportunity. That on a just common knock. The ball will go back to Fullerton with 22:40 left in this second half. And guys, I can tell you right now, this is a Saddleback team that is gaining confidence against this #1 team in the state of California.
Well,
Your Fullerton College Hornets.
Well, that's what I was saying, Mark. You come out after the half, scores 1-0. You need to put one in the goal fairly quickly.
No more caffeine for Joe.
No, the problem is I need another energy drink or a coffee. You put one in the goal, and then that changes the momentum of the game, right? Now you're not fighting for a tie. You're fighting for the W.
Oscar Hernandez trying to get a little scooter to work. He gets one. Back and forth they run. It will find its way to the corner. Doesn't get past the end line, and it will be a throw-in. A beautiful
Game?
We'll see a piece of an example of hustling on that far side of the field by Aldo Ramirez. And the reason why we say that is because that was going to be a corner kick coming up. And he was able to get over there just in time to scoop it away and have it be a long throw-in.
Ryan, when you watch this start right here, they stack the defenders against the #1 player for Fullerton when they're on the offensive end. I just think the respect they give him is just amazing on the soccer field.
They don't want him to get any space whatsoever, and that is also a benefit to the advent of technology, Mark. I talked to these Fullerton College Hornets just a few weeks ago on the Coaches Show and asked them, hey, you know, how do your coaches help you prepare? And they say, plain and simple, video is key. And how you study video, how you learn video, how you learn your opponent's tactics before you even get a chance to go up against them is crucial. So you see the advent of technology. Back in the day, Mark, you'd hear about a team style. If you actually wanted to learn about them, the coaches had to go and watch the opponent's game. Not a match that you were playing in, but they had to go out and physically go to another team's game to learn how they played. But now with the advent of technology, the availability of technology, that all changes, and you can scout ahead of time, not just in the game of football, which is what we always hear it in, but in football. Little back poster, deflected twice. Here's a shot that ends up just going wide. Aragon with a chance, and he misses the frame by maybe 1 or 2 feet.
That's what I was talking about in the first half, Ryan. You got to get around outside at the line to that 18-yard box. You need the one-touch and shot or the one-touch settle and then shot goals. Catch that keeper sleeping.
Here's Eicherman. Eicherman looking for Marquez. Marquez runs himself into trouble, finds Misa. Misa wants to play 1-2, little floater right-hand side for Sherman, and a corner kick coming up for the Hornets. So if you're Fullerton College, you're saying to yourself, okay, this is an excellent chance to get ourselves on the board. But the question is, Mark, Joe, do they go with that back post corner that they have attempted so far 4 different times?
Yeah, and I think they're going to stay with that, which again surprises me. I'm going to pull off of going that deep at the corner, especially now Aldo Ramirez is in the game for the Hornets. Little quick scat back, center back for the Hornets. We'll see what he does.
I think no matter what you do in that sort of set piece, because of the coverage that Saddleback and the Gauchos are running, no matter what you do, your Hornets are going to run into double or triple coverage.
Ryan, it looks like they're going to call a foul on a dangerous play. A Hornet went down. They continue to kick. So I expect them to mark it off and set up a wall. We'll see if they do that.
So that's exactly what takes place, Mark. It's Hayden Kenny who ends up hitting the deck just about, well, we are here at Hal Scherbeck Field, 1.5 yards outside the box. And he is able to draw that foul. You're going to see a minimum of a 4-person wall on the left-hand side of the goal, and an excellent chance for Fullerton College to get themselves back into this one and on top.
So
Ryan Aragon is going to step up to it.
So it looks like the ball's marked out at the, what do you call that, the 9-yard line?
The 9-yard line, and they will see the field goal be good. as that goes over top of the goal, and it will be a goal kick.
And it was interesting, Ryan. They changed it for Saddleback. They went with a three-person wall, a gap in the middle, to make him try attempt a swinging shot out there. And he went with a straight-on fastball that Faubert, the field goal kicker of Fullerton, would be ecstatic with. Of course, his younger sister, Ashlyn, probably would have gotten a goal. Oh, she goes to Cyprus, as a matter of fact. She plays soccer for the women's team at Cyprus.
Now here at Fullerton, it's a 1-1 match. Ryan Osborn, Joseph Pavlenko, and Mark Pavlovich near that camera over there.
No close-up?
Not from that camera over there.
Oh, okay.
Inside the box, Fullerton trying to get that cleared away. They can't do so successfully. Goes over to Carlo. Carlo tries to push it to his right foot, but can't do so. His man pops it up into the air. It will find its way back over to Hernandez. Hernandez gets it dispossessed, a little deflection, and finally it pinballs around and stays with man, who will left foot it all the way into the box with Floriano. And Floriano says, hey, I see Joe and Mark keep talking about getting the ball up as quickly as possible. Let me do exactly that. And he'll find it up to Marquez. Marquez having to chase Spencer Simis, and Simis will see this out of play, and it will go across the far side touchline.
I like Ryan brought up that little bit of Halloween in there, too. Joe, did you hear it? The person was dispossessed. So, you know, that's just letting you people know at home it can happen. If all of a sudden you think you're possessed, get a hold of KBPK, and I'll send Ryan Osborn out to your house.
What I think the problem is right now is you see the Fullerton College players, they're sending the ball upfield, but they're just sending it. They're not taking the time to settle. Maybe that's a side effect of the Bobcats and Saddleback applying pressure when they do. We've seen it when Fullerton College tries to set up on the back line, that there's at least one Bobcat that will come and make a run at a defender and try to interrupt them trying to create a longer field that they can set up, give their forwards time to set up further up on the field or widen the field. And so maybe that's why they're just one touch booting it upfield, one touch heading it upfield, and not taking the time to settle and maybe send a slightly more controlled ball into a more favorable direction.
So, in other words, what you're saying is good defense?
Good defense, and again, I think, yeah, good defense.
By the Saddleback.
Yeah.
And something that's going to be interesting to watch the rest of the way and could be, we'll say, a developing story is Angel Sevillano. Actually checks out for Fullerton as Misa with a beautiful hesitation there. Misa on his left foot takes a shot, and it's blocked away by Avila. He was right there and had a beautiful chance that he created for himself, but just isn't able to get that to go. Here's another opportunity off the outside of the post, and it will go for a goal kick.
And, Ryan, let me go to Joe. Joe, you just saw that play. Misa gets surrounded by 4 defenders in white from Saddleback. There's not a blue jersey down there to help him out on an offensive vein. I know the kid's great. There's no doubt about it because of his numbers, but he needs help.
He does, but again, like I said in the first half, like I've said at least once in the second half, you send that bullet, you send that laser beam from around that 18-yard box. This time it went off the woodwork, and it was a little onto the far side post from where the broadcast is happening. But I think that's how you're going to catch the keeper. Saddleback sets up, they get deep, and when you get those breakaways, I think you need to take those shots that are further out than you're comfortable taking them, and you need to send those bullets or laser beams, knock on the door, and hope you can find the back of the net.
And speaking of knocking on the door, Fullerton College with a corner kick coming up here in just a few moments. And guys, we were talking about a possible storyline here for the Hornets. Angel Sevillano comes off the pitch for Diego Duenas. Sevillano being attended to here. And remember, Sevillano is one of the 2 captains, and he is the main center back for Fullerton College. High floater towards the back post. The Hornets have Giles. There's a chance. He's there. Nathan Giles gets the goal, and it's 2-1 Fullerton.
There's that set piece action that you've been asking for, Mark. They're able to take a corner kick and create a goal.
And here's the thing, almost said 2-0, but you go back to that Saddleback goal. How crucial is it for Saddleback now to have scored earlier? Because if not, Nathan Giles puts that away for a 2-0 lead, and you're looking at the defense of Fullerton saying, clamp it back down. But now if you're Fullerton, you watch on and you say, yes, we get the opportunity to score here, but Saddleback has an extra chance here, Mark, considering that they scored coming out of the half to get themselves closer.
Well, and I think the thing that you look at, too, and we just brought it up with Mesa, you had to have somebody else step up for this Fullerton team, and you guys have seen them enough with the multitude of talent that they've got here at Fullerton. You look for that second and third player. Joe, we talked about it on the set pieces. Somebody else has to set up and make the play. They do it. Saddleback now, I think, technically, Ryan Osborn, Joe, you sell out. You bring up your defenders up maybe 20 yards across midfield. And if Misa's out there one-on-one, you hope your guy can take him on one-on-one.
Real quick, guys, I want to go back to Nathan Giles. We haven't had a chance to talk about him as much here in this broadcast as we have in the past, but he's that guy who is able to shore up the right side of the defense for Fullerton College, the right side of that back line, along with Sevillano. Him and Sevillano create such a chemistry that Coach Greg Aviles is able to look at Nathan Giles and say, if you want to push the ball up and set our tempo, go ahead and do so. Giles has done that continually for Fullerton, and he is one of the best in the state at it. Here's a chance for Saddleback, and that one clings around inside the box, and it will be cleared away. So Giles once again in the mix of things for Fullerton as he assists on the clearance, and he also gets the goal that helps Fullerton take the lead. Misa trying to get back to it. Left foot swung, gets away from one. Diego Duenas is going to be called for a foul. But yeah, just wanted to speak on Giles there for a moment because he has had such a great last 3 matches for Fullerton College and finally gets rewarded for it.
Yeah, and I think this is the time now that you'll look, and I want to see what Greg does if he keeps throwing that offensive out or if he's going to play more in a shell, keep people back deep, and maybe send 2 people up offensively. If you get the break, you get the break. If you don't, you'll sit on this 2-1 lead.
Well, that's kind of a, you try to put another one in the back of the net if you're Fullerton. You're running the risk of being caught on your heels by being aggressive. There's something else you can do if you're Fullerton. You can try to park the bus, but with 10 minutes and some change left, and with how aggressively Saddleback and the Cougars are playing, I don't know if this is a park the bus situation with only a 1-score lead.
Well, here's the answer to that question, Joe. We saw them try to do it last week against IVC when they had a healthy lead, and it didn't end up helping them out. Here's a chance on the inside, and it goes off the awaiting head of Spencer Simmis, and Simmis sends that wide to the left-hand side.
We're about to have some Hornets.
As substitutions come in, Quintana is going to come back in here in just a few moments, and Sean Callahan will join him as well. So our score is 2-1, Fullerton College with the advantage to this point. And Mr. Giles, Nathan Giles, that is, getting Fullerton College back up top.
We talked about leading into this match. Kind of during the half we talked about it. 2 of the best keepers in the OEC, and neither of them end up being able to make it out of this match with a clean sheet.
Fullerton with 3 clean sheets, Saddleback with 2 to their credit. Ball over to the right-hand side, another opportunity. And Saddleback, guys, has just decided, you know what? We tried setting up the perfect play early on in this matchup and just haven't been able to connect it. They're starting to fire from every angle.
Yeah, and that's what you do at this stage of the game
No,
with 8:30 to go.
Saddleback is listening to me. You get around that 18-yard box, and you shoot those shots. You fire those laser beams. You fire those bullets in the direction of the goal. You try to catch the keeper sleeping. Hope you can hit an angle he can't react and get to, and you'll find the back of the net.
An interesting final 8 minutes of play in this one at minimum. Foul committed by Brian Aragon, dropped down by Saddleback. They'll play to the right. So 8 minutes on the clock exactly in official time left. We will see what stoppage time is or additional time will be, as this is a chance that's floated just over top thanks to Floriano. He saves Fullerton from giving that right back, and Saddleback College is bringing their hands to their heads and looking up skywards.
And we just had somebody mention the goalkeepers in the booth here a second ago. If it was not for the play of a goalkeeper that is punching the ball out, getting his hand on it, Joe, right now, we'd be nodded it too.
Yeah, and this is a situation. Floriano came out, almost looked like a Superman punch, taking that ball, knocking it out of the danger zone. And I think one of his teammates maybe got in the crossfire as he was motivated to clear that ball. I didn't see a white jersey of a Saddleback player in there, and that's unfortunate.
So we're at the 7-minute mark. Guys, I think it's going to be interesting. Stoppage time could be a big thing here as we look at 7 minutes, because we know the clock here will stop at 2, and we have no idea when they'll blow the whistle.
So initially, I mean, we've got 2 goals scored in this half of play. So in theory, at least what has been my rule of thumb, has been 45 seconds added to additional time after every goal. You follow that, that's about 1.5 minutes added to. But now with the injury timeout here in the city of Fullerton and at House Scherbeck Field, you got to add that to it. So depending on how much we have, you add about 1.5 minutes onto that, which will allow for, well, at the current time, a minimum of, we'll say, about 3 to 4 minutes.
And if you take the contradictory rule that we have up here in the booth, when we contradict each other, that'll add on another 11 minutes in the game.
But then, Joe, you take the contradictory to the contradictory rule and you say Orange Empire Conference officials, which just say 5 for every single additional time.
There we
Stop.
go.
Please stop adding time. I want to get to Moreno Valley before midnight tonight.
You know what the over-under is on that?
Not good.
As I believe it is our goal scorer who ends up having to walk off the park here, Nathan Giles.
That's unfortunate. Both players from the Hornets that have found the back of the net have had to leave the field due to injury this game.
So Giles will take a seat. That ball is in the left-hand corner as we get set to restart things back up. We're thinking a minimum of 4 minutes at the current time. Mark says 5 as this ball is in the left-hand corner. It's going to be swung down towards the right. An opportunity high floater. Does it go off of a Bobcat? It does indeed. Goal kick coming out. And Joe is mentioning that the 2 guys who have had the biggest impact in this game so far for Fullerton College are the 2 that end up getting knocks. As this one shades over to Aragon. Aragon plays into space. They find Misa. The crowd starts to get a little antsy here as Misa, always dangerous no matter what he does. He ends up losing the ball for a second, and Aldo will take it, and it's a foul against Fullerton College, and Misa away from the ball.
And what he did, Ryan, is when he gave up his pass, went to the center, he grabbed the defender from Saddleback and gave him a tug. Now, the defender, Joe, went down pretty easy.
Yeah, and you could hear the fans on the Fullerton College side not happy with that call because that could have been a gap widener.
But see, here's the flip side of that. If I'm Saddleback, that is an excellent job of making sure that you take the number 1 attacker out of the play. You find that guy. You stay on him. You say, if he contacts me a little bit, I'm going to take a step off my usual line, whether that means I'm going to hit the deck, whether that means it just takes me away from my position. You let him go into you and force the official to take the ball away from the Hornets.
Hi, my name's Joseph Pavlenko, and I'm back here to once again compare fouls in soccer to fouls in basketball. And yeah, sometimes you need to take that foul. You need to make that foul, and you need to take that spill, as it were.
As this will be what we'll call a makeup call for Fullerton College, as they are going to end up getting a set piece free kick coming up from we'll say just about 25 yards out. Make it 35 yards out. Straight away. And Fullerton will bring up Misa to take it for them. Interesting opportunity for the Hornets. Misa, right-footed. That's his dominant foot. He'll approach it. He'll kick it away. It's deflected over towards the right. Trying to catch up to it will be DeFrena, and he does dump it out of bounds for a throw-in.
So, Mark, Ryan, I was on the campaign trail. What do you guys think? Why do fouls in soccer have such a fouls and or trying to receive a foul have a more negative connotation in soccer than they do in sports like basketball?
I think it's a definite dive that you can watch them in basketball. People are used to it, and this is both games are very physical, and this is where people should understand the acting jobs in basketball are a lot better than the acting jobs in soccer. I've seen soccer players roll on the ground for 15 minutes and they get up and run down the field.
Yeah, I've seen basketball players try to draw a foul, though. It's a thing. It's a thing in both sports, and I think soccer, football, is unfairly persecuted for it.
2 minutes left on the clock here in the second half. And 170 hours since the last time that I went to measure stoppage time here at Fullerton College. See, that's what I get for trying to use technology to start off stoppage time. But we're under 2 minutes in regulation time between both of these two sides. We'll get official word on what stoppage time will be as this goes over to Misa. Misa, little tapper there, deflected, and it will stay in the arms of DeFrena as the 5'11" freshman out of Tesoro is able to get that away.
You know what? If Misa sees that on KBPK, he's going to realize he missed an easy goal to make.
The chance was there, just doesn't end up getting all that he wanted on that play, as we'll call it just about 45 seconds into the 2-minute stoppage. So if you're counting along, you're sitting at just about a minute left in the first 90, and we're going to see what additional time will be once we get word. Here's Aragon. Aragon, little poke back now to Duenas. Duenas looks for Misa. He's got a lot of open space to work with. He's inside the box. He's got a guy over to his right. Here's a chance for Sanchez, and he misses wide left.
This is a Fullerton College squad in the closing minutes of the game. Very different than we saw them on last Friday.
5 minutes. 5 minutes of stoppage time.
And that is why we never question Ryan Osborn here on KBPK when it comes to stoppage time. So that ball goes over towards the far side.
Who had 170 hours on their stopwatch?
Wow. Wow. Thank goodness I quit eating sugar.
Ball goes out of bounds, far side. Hey, remember, I took the contradictory to the contradictory point.
That's
and
true.
said OEC makes it 5.
Which you're always contradictory on, so that's okay.
Either way, KBPK is correct.
It's true.
So last Friday, Fullerton College was up by 1 going into stoppage time, and it got tied up by the end of the game. Hopefully, if you're a Fullerton College fan, you're going to hope, much like I am, that doesn't repeat this time. We've seen a lot more aggressive play from the Hornets in the closing minutes of this game, I think, than we did last Friday.
Yeah, it's interesting, Joe, because remember, they had that red card that was pulled on them due to a double yellow by Hayden Kenny. And with only 10 guys, as this one is going to be tossed up by man, a long toss inside the box, it finds its way. And it will be brought up by the Bobcats. A shot, little tug there. That's going to be a free kick, and rightfully so. Grabbing the horse collar there for the Hornets will be Aragon. He's shown a yellow. And a free kick coming up from just about 10 yards outside the box.
Again, this is another situation we've seen the Hornets get themselves into. Sloppy fouls in the closing minutes of games that have ended up being goal-scoring opportunities for their opponents.
So you see Saddleback pull their goalie. They've got him across midfield. And if you were Saddleback, you end up looking at Edward Cardoso and say, hey, look, if Misa gets the ball, or actually that is going to be Cortez, you got to take him down any way you can. And I don't care if you trip him going down the field if you're the Saddleback player.
I think if you're the Hornets and you're anywhere near the 30 or 40-yard line with the Saddleback goalie further than the 50, looks like he's sitting at the 52, 53-yard line, you just send it to the Saddleback goal, hope the ball finds the back of the net before the Saddleback goalie can recover.
Sanchez skies that up high. Kevin Sanchez, who has the lone goal for Saddleback. Guys, as you guys were breaking it down, Saddleback decides to go with a little chipper over to the right-hand side, try and, we'll say, catch the wall after they're flat-footed coming down from their hop. And it almost ends up working out if Fullerton doesn't have a guy who's just laying on that far side underneath the wall, laying down on the carpet, making sure that that ball doesn't end up into the awaiting foot of a Bobcat. So Saddleback skies that away. It goes into the air, and we're sitting at just about 3.5 minutes gone in extra time. That's a handball on the near side that is not called, and it will go over to Aragon. Everyone on the near side of the park in the crowd for Fullerton College giving their protest, but only one guy's opinion, make it three guys' opinion, matter in this situation. And it is the guys in the orange and black who are mediating this afternoon's match.
Ryan, I will tell you that all the officials have told me handballs are inadvertent. Unless it has to do with a scoring play, they will not call it.
Aragon wants to go after it, and he pokes that one up into the air past the goal line. Goal kick coming up. Aragon kind of kicking himself after that as we're just about, we'll call it less than 90 seconds away from additional time ending. And if you're Saddleback, you've got to get this thing going as quickly as possible. Time is going to be added here just for a moment as Misa's going to take a seat and Hayden Kenny will hop onto the park. So usually that gives about 15 more seconds to the team that is trailing to keep moving their offense across the field. Here's Sanchez. It goes off his back, goes off of Aldo, and it will be a throw-in to Fullerton College.
So I'm going to call about what I called it this time last game on Friday, Ryan. Whoever has the momentum with this little amount of stoppage time left, they're going to get their goal-scoring opportunity if the momentum's moving in the direction, and then I think we're going to see that whistle blow. So potentially one more potential score for either side is going to happen, and then I think we're going to hear the whistle.
Yeah, I think if Saddleback has possession with momentum and moving the ball around, they are going to give an extra couple of seconds.
Let them finish the play.
Finish it off, and then they'll end up calling it. So Saddleback, in what is essentially their final offensive possession, floats this one to Floriano. Official watching on, not looking at his wrist. There's the check. And we'll see if he whistles it down. He's got the whistle to his mouth. He does exactly that, and that's going to end off this match. So Fullerton College with the win, they end up getting themselves that #1 spot in the Orange Empire Conference and stay there. They are 10-1-1 this season. Guys, you look at Fullerton, they had a good end to the first half. They get the game-winning goal thanks to Nathan Giles towards the back half of the second half. And Fullerton gets themselves a win where it was tough to keep the offense rolling.
Yeah, I really do. Once again, we all said this before the game started, a defensive battle. 2-1's a defensive battle. And both goalies played well. I think that's what it was. I think that's what it will be like the entire OEC year. And I predict it now. Fullerton College will win the men's championship here on Sportsnet, KBPK. They shut us off.
They did indeed. So you know what? That means it's time to get off the air as we get set for next week's Futbol Fridays. Don't forget, you can watch along here on KBPK on October the 13th. It will be against Cyprus right here at 6 p.m. Futbol Fridays on KBPK. We want to thank the CRTV 145 Sports Class at Fullerton College for joining us here on Futbol Fridays, and thank Jenny Kim for giving us that halftime interview. For Corey Nalen, Mark Pavlovich, Joseph Pavlenko. Joe, actually, before we get out of here, I'm going to give you one more opportunity to give us a quick promo on what Fullerton College and KBPK have this upcoming week on the station.
We've got Futbol Fridays next Friday, like you mentioned. I'm honestly drawing a blank, Ryan. Maybe a water polo game or a volleyball game next Wednesday. To be honest, I'm not as up on the schedule as I should be. This has been a long day. I'm with Corey Nalen. Let's tear the cameras down. Let's get the class home.
You know what? Let's get Joe on his way. So next week, Futbol Fridays, 6 p.m. We thank you for joining us. 2-1 score. Fullerton College with the win over top of Saddleback. You've been watching Futbol Fridays on KBPK.